Despite a pair of recruiting setbacks, Ohio State remains firmly positioned to build one of the top 2026 classes in the country.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your feel-good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes, and today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we will preview a big recruiting weekend for Ohio State. But first, Wednesday, the Buckeyes got a big-time commitment from Aaron Thomas, an offensive lineman that is believed to be a guy that could be a multi-year starter in the future. On Thursday, the Buckeyes were anxiously awaiting the announcements from Drew Evers and Mack Sutter about where they're going to commit to play football in the future. Drew Evers, an offensive lineman, committed to SMU. Mack Sutter committed to Alabama. And while these recruiting setbacks may be things that get you down, don't be down. Ohio State currently has one of the best recruiting classes in the country, and they're firmly positioned to keep that thing throughout the rest of the cycle. Because it would be very, very easy to look at a couple of days and say, well, Ohio State went 1 of 3 in a 2-day span. Things are going downhill. Don't look at it that way. Because if you look at in totality and what Ryan Day has done so far, building a strong foundation, getting 4 offensive linemen already verbally committed in this class, you're probably going to get at least 1 more in this group. You got 4 really talented wide receivers. You got some really elite dogs on defense. I mean, you look up and down the class so far, there's a lot of talent, a lot of strong talent, and the type of talent Ryan Day can use in the future to keep Ohio State a contender year after year after year, because that's the goal, right? You don't just play the game to, well, we're going to bring you in. We're going to say we're going to develop you, but then we're not going to develop you. We're going to say we're going to beat the team up north, but then we're going to continue to lose 5 and 6 and 7 games. I'm saying that because, yeah, if you're not really backing up your words, that could happen in the future. Nobody around here wants that to happen, but you have to be able to back up what you preach. You got to be able to back up what you're telling mom and dad at the table. Ryan Day has done that very, very well. The Michigan conversation is going to come up later on next week. That's a little hint for you to come back potentially on a Monday, because that's one thing that's real. What's also real is that Ryan Day is not in a position to look at these guys in Evers to go into SMU and Sutter to Alabama and say, well, dang, man, those 2 dudes were guys we had plans for. They fit the future of Ohio State, especially in Mack Sutter. We're also thinking about Sutter, the tight end, where is he truly the best, like a Will Kazmarek type blocker at tight end? No, he's not. Is he a Cade Stover or Jeremy Ruckert, or maybe, I don't hate to do this, but even a G. Scott Jr. type receiving threat at tight end? I think he's probably better than them, honestly. At the high school level, if you went back to the high school level, G. Scott Jr. was a little bit different because he was a receiver, but he wasn't getting the throws and the touches that other guys were, just based off the offense that his high school ran. I think Mack Sutter is more of a receiver in a tight end's body and is going to be the future of Ohio State. So, yeah, it would be very, very easy to say, man, he went to Alabama, Tuscaloosa. Kalen DeBoer is going to try to bounce back and not have a year like he had last year. You get a tight end like this, you're going to be able to build for the future. It'd be very easy to look at that and fall into a trap of so many fans that say, oh, man, we're going to ride the wave of ride the roller coaster of recruiting because it's what we got to do. Wednesday, high. Thursday, low. Thursday evening, even lower. You can't do that. You can't just get caught in the moment, become a prisoner of the moment, and say, because of what's going on right now, that's going to change my morale, it's going to change my mood. This ain't a Buckeye game on a Saturday in the fall. This is recruiting. And when guys commit verbally, it's not set in stone. They got to put pen to paper. But here's one of the crazy things about college football and collegiate athletics. There have been guys that have put pen to paper, but have still found ways to get out of their national letter of intent. Now, you never want that to happen. There's a young man, I don't believe he ever enrolled. I don't even think he ever signed with Ohio State on the basketball side of things, all of a sudden, he couldn't enroll. He could not. He was academically ineligible. Couldn't even get into the school. And he asked out of his. He did sign. He asked out of his national letter of intent to go somewhere else to play basketball because he couldn't play at Ohio State. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that Ohio State didn't get these guys, but they still have the number 5 recruiting class in the country right now via 24/7 Sports composite rankings. I mean, if you look at the talent, the top-end talent, and Chris Henry Jr., Blaine Bradford, Caden Dixon-Wyatt, Sincere Johnson, who is a dog, Maxwell Riley, Simeon Caldwell. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about the top-end talent. It's no surprise that Ohio State's at near the top. There's even a conversation going around where people are wondering if Caden Dixon-Wyatt is a better receiver right now in high school than Chris Henry Jr. Chris Henry Jr. is the guy that's been highly sought after. He committed, I want to say, before his sophomore year of high school. It was very, very early. Pac-Man Jones kind of said, "Hey, man, you ready? Like, this ain't no time to waste. If you know where you're going to go, be a man and speak up and say it," as he is the legal guardian right now, I do believe, of Chris Henry Jr. And it worked out for him. It worked out very, very well. I think for Ohio State moving forward, you're going to get a lot more guys to commit. I don't believe Ohio State, with them currently having 17 guys verbally committed, I don't see a path where Ohio State honestly doesn't have more than 25 in this class. You may get 25 or 26 in the class overall, which I think would be solid. You got to get a quarterback, maybe one more running back, one more offensive lineman. You need at least 2 to 3 more defensive linemen, another linebacker. Like, if you add those numbers up, I didn't do it in my head. I was spitballing off the top of my dome. But if you add those numbers up on top of the 17 verbal commitments Ohio State currently has, that'll give you the number where Ohio State should be in the future at the end of the class. Not, oh, we're in November, we got this many guys committed. No, you need that many guys to sign because you got to get those guys on campus. Some are going to enroll early in January. Some are going to come and be summer enrollees in June. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter to me. What matters is that Ohio State stays where they are, toward the top of the country, 5 through 1, as far as the highest, the team recruiting rankings right now via 24/7 Sports. Ohio State's number 5, Georgia's number 4, A&M, Texas A&M, that is number 3, Notre Dame number 2, and then USC is still at number 1. Here's a weird thing. It's maybe a good thing for Ohio State. Ohio State only has 17 guys verbally committed. Everybody else has 21 verbal commitments or more. Georgia has 22, A&M has 21, Notre Dame has 22, and USC has 30. Also, if you want to look at this again, Ohio State's per player average is the best among the top 5 teams in the country as far as recruiting rankings for the 2026 class. So, yes, you can look up and down and say, well, Ohio State this and Ohio State that. Let's also realize Ryan Day's formula is working. It's working very well. It's also a formula that might make you scratch your head and wonder, why is it going at a slower pace than normal? It's because Ryan Day's in his lab working hard to put the best class together, the best that he can. And it might take a little bit more time than you might like for that thing to happen, but don't go crazy. Don't lose faith in the man. Ryan Day knows what he's doing, and he's working his magic to perfection. And I think down the road in a few months, you can look back at this moment and say, yeah, they had 17 on June 27th at the beginning of the day. But at the end of the day, oh, man, this group is exactly what Ryan Day needed. What Ryan Day needs is more guys to verbally commit, and that might happen over the next few days. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day, and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you all for tapping and Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. While Ohio State had 3 of their targets commit to play college football over the past few days, one of them, Aaron Thomas, committed to Ohio State, Drew Evers to SMU, where many people thought he was going to go to Texas A&M, and then Mack Sutter, the Illinois native, the best player in the state of Illinois in the 2026 class, committed to play football at Alabama. And over the next few days, there are going to be 5 guys that at least we know of time, we know a day of when they're going to verbally commit. Ohio State is favored to land some of them. They're fighting it up to a battle with some others, but this is a big recruiting weekend. If Ohio State gets a couple guys to commit, let's say 2 of the 5, 40%, wouldn't be mad about that. But also, all of these guys are quality players. All of these guys are guys that you would love to have play at Ohio State in the future. And so I get that this weekend is big because, well, there's no official visits coming on because you can't have them. But it's big because the foundation that's already been set might be built upon, and it won't be built upon with some weak stones or some weak nonsense. It's going to be built on strong stones and the type of stones you want to be in Columbus, Ohio. One of them, there's a few of them, 3 of them that are verbally committing today. One of them is a young man from the Midwest in Indiana, Jerquaden Guilford, 6'2", 190-pound wide receiver. Actually, it's ironic when I looked him up, I hadn't heard of the name recently. He is a guy that goes to the same high school that my mom graduated from in Fort Wayne, Indiana, out of Northrop High School. Really talented area in Indiana. Sometimes it gets overlooked because of where it is, and Indianapolis is a hotbed for all the sports in Indiana. But Jerquaden Guilford is a guy that got on Brian Hartline's radar at a recruiting camp, got the offer, and while Ohio State currently has 4 guys verbally committed right now, it wouldn't shock me if they added a 5th. Now, not all 5 guys are going to play. Some guys are going to wait a little bit. Some are going to redshirt. That's great. But you need all of that. You need the guys that can immediately play, and you need some guys that are right there on the cusp of being able to break through to get on the field and play early. They need some guys that need a red shirt and be around a little bit and just be program builders, culture sustainers. You need those kind of guys. And I think Jerquaden Guilford is a really talented player. You don't get a Brian Hartline offer just because he wants to throw it out there just to hand it out. Oh, it's in the wind. Whoever catches it gets it. That's not Hartline's motive. But I do think, while it's not Hartline's motive and getting 5 receivers in a class isn't something that happens every single day, I wouldn't be shocked if Jerquaden Guilford ended up committing to Ohio State today. And another player that's committing on Friday is Demarion Simeon. His commitment is coming at 5 p.m. 6'3", 275-pound defensive lineman out of Richland, New Jersey, St. Augustine Prep. He is another guy that is battling. The Buckeyes are battling with some really top-end schools to land this young man, 4-star defensive tackle, the 26th ranked defensive lineman in the entire class. The Buckeyes, the Longhorns, the Wolverines, and Nittany Lions are all trying to land a commitment from Demarion Simeon. And while Larry Johnson has maybe the toughest battle, maybe along with Billy Fessler, with all of the assistant coaches right now when trying to get the right kind of guys in the recruiting class or the class of 2026, you get Demarion Simeon. Larry Johnson is a guy that is desperate for a win. Not because he's bad. He just got Kari Wilder to commit to Ohio State. But he's been under fire for the past 3 to 4 years about why in the world are you not getting guys that are at the top of the class? Why in the world are you struggling to land the elite guys? Why in the world are you getting guys in on campus? They love the official visits. They love the time with Ryan Day and Larry Johnson, but they go play football somewhere else. Why is that happening? I don't like it. I know they don't like it, but Demarion Simeon is one of those guys that while Ohio State's battling with some blue bloods or some really top-end big boy schools, I think Ohio State has this one right there with them. Here's one that I don't know if the Buckeyes are going to land, and I don't mean to bring up something that is a sore spot where Ohio State's not landing a defensive lineman, but Jackson Ford is another one, a young man that is really talented, man. All these guards are 6'4", 240-pound edge defender, edge rusher from Malvern Prep in Malvern, Pennsylvania. Right now, it seems like Penn State might have the upper hand in this one. But I wouldn't count Ohio State out. I mentioned Carter Wilder earlier because if Wilder didn't commit, I think Ford may be leaning Ohio State. I know that I understand the location, geographic location where he is in Pennsylvania. Penn State, it's right there in the name of the school. So I understand all of that. But if Wilder doesn't commit to Ohio State, he goes somewhere else, I wouldn't be shocked if Ford brought himself to Ohio State to play football in the future. But right now, I think of the three that are coming on Friday, those guys that are committing, two of the three are probably going to be Buckeyes and Jerquaden Guilford and Demarion Simeon. Then the third and Jackson Ford probably is my gut. If I'm going with my gut, is going to be committing to Penn State. On Saturday, Cameron Brinkle, a 6'2", 305-pound defensive tackle from IMG Academy down there in Bradenton, Florida. Another kind of guy that Larry Johnson needs. I think everybody up on this list right now, there's three defensive linemen, Simeon, Ford, and now Cameron Brickle. Larry Johnson needs all three. I'm not here trying to hurt anybody's feelings or say anything. Larry Johnson needs this boost. What the Buckeyes got a year ago from the starting defensive line in the playoff was a major recruiting boost. Those guys are gone now. The guys that are coming up next are very, very green. Caden McDonald, Edric Houston, Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson Jr., the ones that aren't that green as far as getting a lot of playing time and starting. Bo Atkinson, Logan George got a lot of playing time and starting time elsewhere, but they're not coming to Ohio State, which is a different animal than playing at the FCS level or in North Carolina. And so Larry Johnson desperately needs this. But if you also want to move and try to do a little bit more of a multiple defensive look, yeah, base 4-2-5, but throwing out a 3 down front every now and then, you don't have to try to cross-train your guys to be able to play the one-tech position. Just go out there and draft a guy that can fit that role. Cameron Brickle can be a nose in a 3 down front, or could be a 1-tech in a 4 down front. He may even be quick enough to be a 3-tech. I'd probably stick him at 1-tech, but if you want to put him at 3-tech, so be it. Another one. This one is coming on Saturday, and I would be shocked if Brickle went anywhere else but Ohio State. Another one's coming on Sunday, and Xavier Griffin, a linebacker, 6'3", 200 pounds, from Gainesville, Georgia. Now, when I first pulled him up, started looking at him, researching him, I saw Gainesville. So I was thinking Gainesville, Florida Gators. Makes a whole lot of sense. No, this is Georgia. Another Gainesville in the US of A. And just like Mack Sutter, I think as Sutter was predicted to go to Alabama, that's where he committed. Griffin right now, I think is predicted to go to Alabama, and that's where I think he's going to go as well. If James Leonidas can work some magic, if he has some left to work and he wants to go into his lab and get that man to change his mind, go ahead and do it. Absolutely do it. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. But if it did, I wouldn't be shocked. Of the guys that are committing this weekend between Friday through Sunday, Jerquaden Guilford, wide receiver from Fort Wayne, Indiana, is projected to go to Ohio State. Demarion Simeon, D tackle. I think the Buckeyes are going to get that one too. Jackson Ford, defensive end from Pennsylvania, is going to be probably a Nittany Lion. Cameron Brickle to Ohio State. Xavier Griffin to Alabama. All those are predictions. They are not set in stone. But if all of those are correct, I don't like Buckeyes losing guys they want, but it's kind of a good thing to know, like, hey, we might not win this one. We can try to, but it might not happen. We can prepare for both outcomes. There are some things that I think are going to be some outcomes for the basketball team in the future on the hardwood. And speaking of the hardwood, I got a pretty big idea about Ohio State basketball. I can't share it now. Come back after the break to hear it. This episode is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hard-working manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners, easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. Thank you all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. So, Ross Bjork did something very, very wise when talking about some changes he would like to make to the shoe. Some of them are have hefty price tags. Some of them have to do with sponsorships. But Ross Bjork, even shortly after he became the director of athletics for Ohio State University, he was not shying away from trying to boost up the game day atmosphere, the game day experience, trying to boost up the premium seating and trying to bring in an exclusive portion where there's food that nobody else in the stadium can get. I like the way he's thinking. He's forward thinking. He's a little bit progressive with not sticking in some of the traditional norms, keeping some of the tradition rich things that make Ohio State amazing, but he's keeping up with the times. And while he's keeping up with the times talking about football, let's not forget basketball. Because to me, when I think about Ohio State basketball, well, the game day experience for Ohio State football can be better. No one's going to deny that. But the game day experience for basketball could be better too. And no, it doesn't have to be something that flows with the productivity and the results of the team. No, your experience and your atmosphere should be the same, regardless if you have a team that only has 3 wins or a team that has 25 wins and is a contender to win the national championship. Of course, the more winning you do, the more hype the arena is going to be. But the in-arena entertainment, what the Buckeyes are doing before the game, during the game, after the game, the music that is played, the sounds that are piped in, that shouldn't matter. You can create the atmosphere. One of my favorite things about going to sporting events is literally the atmospheres. High school basketball, I'm a big high school basketball fan, and I love going around the various high school gyms for my home state of Indiana and looking at them and trying to see, what makes this amazing on a big time game day, rivalry games. What makes this unique? I love that. Well, for Ohio State and the basketball, I wonder if is the shot too big for this basketball team? And I'm not trying to say the shot is not an amazing arena. I've been there numerous times. Some of you have as well. Some of you may be season ticket holders for Ohio State men's basketball, maybe even women's basketball. But does it fit the brand? Does it fit Ohio State? Now, the brand itself is big, yes. But while Ohio Stadium is one of the biggest stadiums in the world, it fits the brand. It fits the product. It fits Ohio State football. I think the shot doesn't fit Ohio State basketball. You don't have to have the biggest arena in the Big Ten. You don't have to have that. I get why it was built in 98, and I understand St. John Arena was a little bit older, and now they don't even have a floor there, and they have taken things out to where it's not even – if you wanted to play basketball there again, you have to do a whole lot of bringing stuff over and bringing stuff back in. I don't even know if they have goals in there anymore to simply shoot around with. But I think St. John Arena fits a Buckeye basketball more than the shot does, but the shot's not going anywhere at all. But part of my thing with the game day experience is playing more games at St. John Arena. Do it. I mean, Ohio State plays. They have played preseason games in Nationwide Arena where the Blue Jackets play, and that's great. That's fun going over there. It's honestly, I think it's the largest between the Shot and Nationwide. Let me go to this really quickly. I had to pull it up earlier. Nationwide is by capacity larger than Value City Arena. Well, Nationwide can seat 19,500 for a basketball game. I believe the number for the Shot is just over 18,000, which is the largest in the Big Ten. But you're not going to get that sold out. Of all the times that I've been to the Shot, it's only been sold out one time. It was Ohio State versus Michigan. Even against some of the other big-time Ohio State games where they play big-time team, like when Duke came in, I don't think the game was sold out. When Indiana comes in, I don't think that game is sold out. Those are two big-time programs that have crazy fan bases. That's not sold out. So if the only game you sell out is the Michigan game, why do you need an 18,000-seat arena? Like, these are legit questions that need to be asked. And if you have to have it, if you can't even split time between St. John Arena and the Shot, what can you do to enhance what you currently have? Because Ross Bjork's talked a lot about the football. I think for basketball, it's very easy. The in-game entertainment and music can get better. Easily get better. If you look up and down the SEC, I know the SEC is not the hotbed of basketball that it was last year. Yes, that was a shock to a lot of us where the SEC was just so dominant. That they had been building to that. Arkansas, Alabama, Auburn, they had been building to that moment. Florida as well. Before it to all pop at the same time, that was a shock, man. But it's good, solid basketball. I enjoy watching the basketball, but that really was not the thing I thought it was going to be. For the Buckeyes basketball team, better entertainment. Now, I know that's part of Ross Bjork's job. You know who else's job it is? Jake Diebler. Because Jake Diebler is the head coach of the men's basketball team, who has not put out a very entertaining product over a full season inside the Shot for fans to get excited about. And when you know that basketball is second to football at Ohio State, you know you might be able to get away with some things because, well, are people really watching us play? Are people really going to our games? While the stadium's not sold out and there's a lot of empty seats, what do you know? Buddy, we all got smartphones. We all have things in our pockets, or maybe you carry around a bag. Maybe if you're a female, you have a purse that has our phone in it. And at any given time, we can go on our phone. We can go to the app. I got a couple apps on my phone that I use for sports. Fox Sports app, the Apple Sports app, which I don't use a lot. I'm trying to use it a whole lot more. But we can go there, check the record, check the stats, figure out what's going on, and realize, well, another year of Buckeye basketball. These boys can't get it together. Really good in the non-conference slate. But all of a sudden, they get to the Big Ten schedule, and it's just loss and after loss after loss after loss. And you're thinking, man, Ross Bjork got to do his job for the in-game entertainment, the experience to boost it up, make it a big deal. Jake Diebler has to do that too. And I am not doing what I did last year, buying into a lot of the things we see on the social media apps about Buckeye basketball and the product on the court. I'm not doing it. Prove it to me in Big Ten time. I don't care if Ohio State goes undefeated in the non-conference slate. I don't care. Continue that path, continue that process and formula into the Big Ten slate because I am done, absolutely done buying into the non-conference stuff. Oh, man, y'all only lost 2 non-conference games, and they were to ranked teams that are competitive. They lost 1 game by 2, lost 1 game by 4. Oh, man, it's going to be the year. I'm done with that. I'm absolutely done. Because you know what? What we saw last year was very similar to the end of the Chris Holtmann era. And that wasn't good enough, which makes last year not good enough, which means that moving forward, you got to get better. Now, I got some gripes. I got some things that don't sit well with me with Buckeye basketball about the way the roster is made up and how that may hurt Ohio State in the Big Ten slate. I can't let the cat out the bag yet, which is why you got to subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes and follow it on the YouTube and on any podcast app out there. Hit the notification button on the YouTube, hit that bell, so you are notified when every show goes live and when I dive into the roster for the basketball team you'll get notified when that show goes live too, because you're going to want to get a great look, an off-season preview, early off-season preview of Buckeye basketball, some of their strengths, some of their weaknesses, and what I think will happen when the Big Ten calendar rolls around for the Buckeye schedule. The 2025-2026 Buckeye basketball schedule has not been released yet, but when it is, you already know. We're going to talk about it right here on this show. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second, make sure you tap into the portal, because my guy, Brian Smith, he's got the latest rumors. He keeps up to date with college football recruiting, and he also understands and dissects all the changes in college football. You can follow and tap into the portal and Locked on Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. Let's have to Locked on Buckeyes right here on a Friday. We'll see you next time.